Frame. Skip.
Get ready.
It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Begin.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 131 of Frameskip, a video game podcast. I'm your host yet again this evening, 3 for 3. Look at me, hat trick George over here. And I'm joined by two of my favorite people to discuss the ongoings and the goings-ons of video games. We've got the man who puts the hot in Hotlanta, Austin. Austin, how's it going?
Can't we get some other host in here, George? Like, can it not be you 3 weeks in a row?
Get your dirty hands off my show. No. I was fucking born for the limelight, born for the microphone.
Okay. Okay.
You're in Atlanta, you got popsicle juice all over your fingers. Keep your little juicy fingers off my show.
Dude, it's so hot down here. It's been like high 90s and just it's obnoxious. It's really bad.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
I walk outside and it's like 82 and I'm like, oh, ridiculous.
Don't ever come down
That's
here
been
in
like-
July or August is what I will tell you.
Noted.
Cool 68 here every day. It's great.
Dude.
Until it's negative 68 and then it's
Yeah.
not great.
That's true.
That other voice you heard, that is the man who puts the Papa in PA. Seth, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I was a little late today. I vastly underestimated my time today. I'm still getting used to that puppy life. So I had to take care of the dog a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I'm here. I'm ready for a big fat stinky pod. Better drop a big fat stinky pod on you.
Notably, Seth late, no apology. No apology whatsoever.
Why would I apologize for being late to my own show?
Because this week it's my show, you son of a bitch.
Oh, okay.
You know what? When you're the host, you can show up 5 minutes before the fucking concert. You don't have to do a sound check with the band. You know, you don't have to go over the set list when you're the host. But I like to run a pretty tight ship. So shape up or ship out.
I was just thinking like Gene Simmons probably didn't apologize for being late, so why would I, you know?
Same
Otherwise,
caliber of
take him off the
talent.
band, Seth.
Same caliber of talent right there.
Exactly. Same caliber. Freddie Mercury. You know.
Can I just say, by the way, it sucks going to a concert and the person performing showing up considerably late. I went to a concert back in 2018. It was a Baby Metal concert, and the opener played, and then Baby Metal didn't come out for like an hour and a half.
You guys were just sitting there.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
Oh my god. That's pretty sweet though. They're just like, we're gonna make them wait.
Yep,
They're gonna be fine.
they're already here.
Yeah. They're not going anywhere. Here's a weird thing about me though, is that I absolutely abhor and hate live music. I cannot stand it. It's a weird thing. I know everyone loves live music. I do not. I think it's terrible. I hate it. The dying passion.
I hate concerts. I love going to a restaurant or a bar or something. And if there's like a live band playing music, I think that's awesome. I just generally don't like concerts because it's either like the band is playing shit that sounds exactly like the album, in which case, like, man, I bought this CD, I bought this vinyl. Why the fuck am I here listening to you?
Better
Like,
sound
why did I pay
quality.
$60? Yeah. I can actually hear what people are saying, and like no one's fucking sneezed on me at home with the vinyl. I can just smoke certain types of plants and stare at my ceiling. It's really nice. Or you show up and it's just like, wow, these guys are wasted. They sound awful. Why did I pay $60 for this? That's like the twos. The only good concerts under $15. Only ones I'm like really happy with.
It's just
Saw Matt and Kim for $10. Incredible concert. Amazing.
I saw Bon Jovi in the big giant New Jersey stadium, and they were surprisingly the best band I ever saw live. And I don't even like Bon Jovi. I saw like 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin a ton of times, Tool, Good Charlotte, like all kinds of stuff. My one ex-girlfriend loved to see bands, and I was like, every time, like, this is like really long. I got other stuff to do. I could just listen to the album if I wanted to with better sound quality. So I don't know. I just wasn't. I'm not a concert person.
No, I love paying $35 for parking and then $11 for hot dogs. This is awesome. Yeah, this is sick.
I've gotten to where I like them more as I'm older, but I think the thing is I never really went to them until like the past 4 or 5 years. So, but I will say this. I'm going to see, I guess you could consider this a concert. I'm going to see the Sonic the Hedgehog Symphony in Atlanta in December. I'm very much so looking forward to that.
I feel like you've always got
Live and Learn live. Looking forward to that.
I feel like you've always got like wild stuff going on in Atlanta. Like you're always going to some like video game concert or like some Zelda orchestra or something.
There's a lot going on here. Yeah.
Like a poppin' city.
It is.
Yeah, you gone to Zelda Live Symphony, you gone to Final Fantasy Live Symphony?
No, we went to I haven't been to the Final Fantasy one. We went to the Kingdom Hearts one a couple years ago.
Okay.
Mostly for Andy. Because I'm not a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, but Andy loves it. So that good. Andy said it wasn't that good.
Just like
they were like slightly out of tune, and they messed up a couple times, and it was like very obvious. So I'm hoping that the Sonic Symphony is a little better.
Yeah, they were out of tune because they were all time traveling different dimensions.
That's right.
How can you sync up with that?
That's right.
None of their stories make sense.
Yep.
I hate Kingdom Hearts.
Dude, I'm so pumped for Kingdom Hearts 4. I'm just kidding.
I waited my whole life for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it was a disappointment. All right.
Anything else we want to get off our chest before we get into the show of our show?
No. I think I might be diabetic.
What?
Oh.
Where did that come from? That is a big thing to get off your chest, Seth. You want to talk about it?
No, I just I had this weird like toilet scum that would pop up every couple days, and I looked it up, and the top result was like someone in your house may be diabetic, and I was like, oh. So I made a doctor's appointment. Yeah, and I looked up like the other symptoms of it, and I'm like, oh. So
it's tough though. That's tough though, because like the symptoms are so generic. It's like, oh, like, are you tired? Are you fatigued? It's like, yeah, man, of course I'm tired. Oh, do you get like random joint pains? It's like, yeah, I stand up at my job all day. Like, of course I do. It's like, oh, you either have the common cold or I don't know, space Ebola. Like it's always like the most common thing or the most like preposterous thing it could possibly be.
Brain cancer. You have a stage 4 brain cancer if you get fatigued during the middle of the day. No, but the toilet bowl scum is like that's the one that's like doesn't really share much with anything else. And it's not like you know I was like cleaning it like every 2 or 3 days, and it would come back pretty quickly. So what it is like the sugar in someone's urine like molds in the toilet. And
this is interesting. Like, I've never heard of this.
Oh Lord.
I've heard of like a weird smell pee can indicate diabetes. When was the last time you had a doctor, like a checkup?
Not that long ago, but it's not like I was ever like, hey man, can we check my blood glucose? I think I might have diabetes.
Well, they should do that in just like a normal blood work.
The last time I got blood work done was like 15 years ago. So,
oh, dude, you got to get it yearly.
Yeah.
I'm look at me. Do I look like someone that needs blood work yearly?
I don't know, Gene Simmons. Do you?
You're a human being, so I want to go ahead and say, yeah, you do look like someone.
Nah, I don't know. For the longest time, I didn't even go to the doctor. And I went to the emergency room a couple times, but I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't have any health insurance until I got my current job. So I was like, I'm not going to the doctor.
I'll say this: most health insurance, at least for an annual physical, is no charge. So I'd highly recommend doing it and getting blood work on a yearly basis.
Yeah, well, my work actually encourages us to go get physicals and every year. In fact, we get a massive break on our insurance if we go get our physicals and blood work done every year.
Nice.
But I don't do it.
You should. I don't want to like bring the podcast down. You should probably do it.
I don't like needles, man. They're scary.
Who the fuck likes needles, Seth? Nobody likes needles.
Heroin addicts like needles.
Like, oh, I don't like speaking in front of people. It's like no one does. No one does. They don't even like needles. They like heroin. It's different.
No, Do you think there's got to
That's
be
why a lot of
somebody
people
that
smoke it, you fucking idiot.
there's got to be somebody that goes to the doctor for their physical and they're just like, all right, doc, I'm ready. Just
him.
draw that blood, baby. Let's
Like,
go.
Lay it in there.
No, we don't shoot you up. You shoot up the vial. Like it's a
Right,
reverse
yeah.
shoot up.
I guess that's fair. There's those
Drain it.
acupuncture people.
Drain it.
I don't even think they like needles. Like you usually don't look at it because it probably freaks you the fuck out. There's an acupuncturist near me, and it's someone who I went to high school with. I've thought about hitting them up, but
Anyway, I
care.
got a doctor's appointment Friday morning because I was like, I should probably look into this. I do enjoy a zebra cake or two and some Dairy Queen ice cream here and there, as in a lot. So I should probably get into that. I was doing really good. If you guys remember, I lost like a massive amount of weight and then I got happy and gained it all back. I stopped hating
Well,
myself.
good news is if you do have diabetes, it sounds like it would be type 2, right? Which is like caused by diet, which like is something I'm like pretty sure you can reverse just with exercise and healthy diet as long as you
Yeah.
stay on top of it and maintain it for a while. Also, like I've been talking about this with my therapist a bunch, where like I have this this really bad acid reflux where I will feel like I'm dying, and like I've convinced myself that like I have a heart condition. I've been to the doctor several times, and they're like, "No, you have really low cholesterol. No, like you have pretty good this." It's like, yeah, your VO2 is a little low, but you're a smoker. Like that's why that's a little low. But I like talked to like my therapist. I was like, yeah, I keep trying to like remind myself. It's like, dude, you're 33 now, and like you take generally good care of yourself. You smoke, but you shouldn't. But like you exercise every day. You try to watch your diet every day, and like look at not Gene Simmons, but like look at Keith Richards. Like look at the way he abuses the shit out of his butt. Like he's still around. Like that dude has forgotten more about cocaine than your nose will ever know. And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the human body is weird and fragile, but also pretty resilient. And so I'm proud of you for scheduling an appointment. Most people would be too scared to do that and just go on living their life until something became permanent or irreversible.
Well, I have like pretty strong like willpower once I set my mind to something. Like I used to fast for 3 days at a time just to lose weight. And most people can't do that. And that's how I lost a lot of weight really quick. And it wasn't like I was like anorexic. I was just like, yeah, I could save 3,000 calories today if I just didn't eat. So that's what I would do. And I'm just like I was also kind of used to it from like wrestling where I wouldn't eat for a week to cut 15 pounds in a week as a 13-year-old. So hey, abolish weight cutting in high school.
Did you like cut off your calf muscle? How'd you do that?
No, have you never heard of like high school weight cutting? It's like brutal. It's terrible for people. That's why like a lot of times wrestlers are short because their height is stunted because they do not eat. They like wrestlers will starve themselves
Well,
of food and water for like a week.
I didn't know 15 pounds was like
Oh my
the
God.
amount they could shift in a week. That's ridiculous.
That's almost like typical. I mean, if you because again, they won't drink water either. They'll like dehydrate themselves, and people go really crazy with it. Like they'll take laxatives, they'll throw up, they'll do anything they can to get like excess water out of their body. Oh, it's terrible. Weight cutting needs to stop in high school wrestling and middle school wrestling because it happens in middle school wrestling as well. It's
Especially
really
like you said at that age when you're still growing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frankly
why, like,
you shouldn't really do it at all. But not, even later in life, I mean, at least it's not going to cause like permanent growth problems if you're already full grown at that point.
Yeah. And then like professionals like MMA fighters, they'll sometimes cut like 40, 30 pounds to make a fight, and it's like they're already in shape. They're cutting down like weight. Like some of these guys get on the scale looking like a zombie. But that's why like all wrestlers like that have done it for a long time have like a very similar like frame and physique. You can kind of look at them and be like, you look a little dwarfish, buddy. And then that's why.
Then they don't eat or drink for a week, and it's like, oh, you're also looking a little peckish. Look at that, peckish and dwarfish. Look at you.
Yeah.
All the
hardest
fishes.
sport.
Man, speaking of that, we're about to jump into what we've been doing lately. I have really only been playing Hot Wheels Unleashed. The game's awesome. It is very much the spiritual successor to Burnout Paradise. I've come to realize where there's no open world, but there is like a map basically, and that map layout is ostensibly just the the map from Burnout Paradise, and you just do time trials or races in the campaign. And then when you go online, I think there's typically 2 tracks that are from the game, and they try to put it like, oh, here's a short track, here's a medium track, and then there's a whole bunch of highly rated user-generated maps that fill in the others. And they're usually crazy, and some of them don't make sense, and they're absolutely infuriating and make you want to rip your fucking hair out. But incredibly fun game. If you're looking for an arcade racer, I can only assume that this one's going to tank in price with the sequel coming out in a few weeks. But really been enjoying that lately, and I don't want to say like an easy platinum because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm supposed to do it, but a little bit of fun. But more importantly, what I did this week, I watched so many old Summer Slams, and I don't want to be that guy who's like yelling at clouds. I don't want to be that guy who's like, things were better when I was younger. But you guys, wrestling might have been better when I was younger. I watched SummerSlam 2002.
Yeah.
And it was like Brock Lesnar taking out The Rock. It was Triple H against Shawn Michaels. It was Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. Every match was an absolute banger. And I wonder if one of the things that really messed with wrestling was HD cameras.
Maybe.
You could see that, like the high frame rate. I wonder. I also think that they were way more sacrificial with their bodies back then, and they were willing to do some crazy stuff.
That's like almost undeniable, though.
Yeah,
like you watch.
I can't control that.
You watch like The Rock versus Mankind when he like handcuffed Mick Foley's hands behind his back and hit him like 17 times with a chair in the head, and that was all like hit Mick Foley like being like, "Hey, do this, give it to me." Like you watch The Rock talk about it, and The Rock's like, "I think I went a little too much," and Mick Foley talks like about like getting knocked out cold by the Undertaker in the middle of the ring and stuff. But I think you're undeniably right that wrestling was better back in the day, and I'm not really sure. Like a lot of people would attribute that to like the PG era, but I think it was more of a. I think it's more like a character thing. Like the characters were just better.
I think it was creative. I think it was more the creative back then. That team was just so good back then compared to now, and it's still fun now. I mean, it's still fun to watch, but it's just different. So
and that was also a really special era too, though, because I'm not into 80s wrestling and like early 90s wrestling. What I think is like really special about like 2002, right? You got these 3 massive wrestling companies that all converged, and you got like the best of each company. So you really had like a massive amount of superstars coming together and like getting these dream matchups. Like Rey Mysterio was a WCW guy, you know, Booker T, WCW guy. Rob Van Dam was an ECW guy. So this is crazy because like I know so much about wrestling, but I don't even watch it anymore. But I just think like 2002 to 2000, like what, 8, really special era in wrestling.
Of like the night, like I watched when I can't decide what to fall asleep to, I will like very, very commonly throw on like Royal Rumble 99 or like WrestleMania 98, just because it's fucking ridiculous. That stuff is so preposterous. And I keep seeing clips just because like I keep looking up old wrestling things on YouTube. And like this came out of nowhere. I think I told you guys that like Aaliyah pointed out that I got really interested in wrestling once the Celtics were eliminated from the playoffs. Like that's when I started like watching Raw every week. Yeah. That's when I started watching like SmackDown every week. And like, oh yeah, Payback, that's September 2nd. Can't wait for that pay-per-view event. Like that's when I like started like learning all that stuff. So I think once football comes in, I'm really interested to see what's happening in my life. Like if I still have the space for this other, like this entertainment competitive sport as opposed to like a genuine competitive sport. But man, if you guys have Peacock, just throw on Royal Rumble 99 sometime. That shit is so good.
Royal Rumble 99 is an interesting. Yeah, it's Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, Undertaker versus Kane, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie defeated the New Age Outlaws. The Rock defeated Ken Shamrock. Triple H defeated Owen Hart. Wow, what an interesting lineup.
Well, Cactus Jack, that was Mick Foley, right? That was that's Mankind. That
was his like hardcore like persona. Cactus Jack was like his I don't mess around anymore type persona.
How is that possible? Because as Mankind, he had a leather mask and he had like a talking Sock puppet. How is that like? How is there one more hardcore than that?
Because Mankind was just the crazy one. Cactus Jack was like, I love violence.
I'm a big fan of the
Yes.
wrestlers that have like alternate personas like that. For a long time, when I got into wrestling, like when I was in my early years in college, Finn Balor was one of my favorites because of his whole like demon thing that he like changed into or whatever. It's pretty cool. I don't know. It's a neat idea.
He's still making noise, man. He's
Nice.
running Judgment Day right now on Raw, and he keeps challenging Cody Rhodes. I think they're gonna have some words with each other at Payback.
Very nice.
Lots of drama going on right now with Finn Balor. Ooh, ooh. But hey, that's enough about. Oh, also I've caught up. I can't remember if I shared this last week. I caught up on all the Superman comics. Did we talk about this? About how like the difference between a Batman oh shit moment and a Superman oh shit moment is like why I'm like more of a Superman fan now, because like the Batman oh shit moment is like incredibly badass, but the Superman is incredibly inspiring, and I just need like a little more hope in my content. Did we talk about that here?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But yeah, that's all I've been up to. Awesome. What about you? What have you been messing around with lately?
Honestly, just more Final Fantasy 14. I know this is week 3 of mentioning this on the show, but yeah, that's really all I've been playing. I haven't done a whole lot more. Seth and I played quite a bit last week. We did some dungeons, did some fun stuff.
Thanks for the text, guys. Thanks for the heads up. That's cool.
Did you even install it yet?
I did. Yeah, sure did.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, let's play.
Did you start it yet?
I told you I got like 10 hours into it.
Oh, so you're just gonna use the same character?
Yeah, I don't see the difference.
Okay. No, well, there's not. I figured maybe you'd be like confused and want to start over and like go through the motions again, but
how can I be confused? I got 2 gurus of the craft with me. I got 2 like.
It depends on the character. What class is it, George?
Archer.
Okay.
Archer.
Have you
that is
ever?
a class I know nothing about.
Neither do I.
I'll roll a new character.
Andy does.
You don't have
that's the
to roll a
class
new
Andy
character.
uses.
You don't have to roll a new character.
I'm not going to the movies this weekend, so I got both days of my weekends for me, and I'm not gonna do shit. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a minute. I'm gonna buy a 2-liter of Mountain Dew and a bag of goldfish.
Dude, you saying that
better be
made
flavor
my stomach
blasted.
hurt.
Flavor blasted for sure.
I can't believe how old I am.
Me saying that made your what?
Made my stomach hurt. Like I could just like felt like the indigestion.
I haven't had soda in like months.
I just can't believe that's where I'm at in my life.
Well, I mean, maybe you're not diabetic if that's how you feel, or maybe you are diabetic if that's how you feel. I don't actually. Don't miss your doctor's appointment on Friday. Is the point?
Yeah, I was trying to think of
Sorry,
what all.
Final Fantasy 14. Any new insights?
No, nothing really. I mean, I'm progressing further with the post-patch content, but trying to learn a little more about like the original story. So I've been watching a few more like lore videos and stuff, and I want to buy. Seth and I were talking last week as we were playing. There are a series of Final Fantasy 14 like encyclopedia books that talk about the world and like everything that happened in the world, and I want to buy the first one. I think there are 3, so I want to buy that and like read through it, because the one thing I'll say about Final Fantasy 14 is it's very complicated plot wise. Like there's a lot going on. Just it's a very expansive world. There's just a lot to keep up with if you really want to get the most of it. So I want to really expose myself like more and more to what happened in that world. But
still, be careful, because you're not supposed to find out some of the stuff until you get further on in the story, is what I'll say, because some of the stuff, especially at like the end of Shadowbringers and an Endwalker, and I think towards the end of the Heavensward patches as well, is like very groundbreaking like revelations as to why the world is the way it is. But the thing that you're talking about that I love about 14 is that it's all optional. You don't have to care about any of that stuff, but they put it there in case, like, hey, if you're a fan of this world, you can dive deeper and see that like there's a lot more going on here behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff like you said, behind the scenes that is just side plot that you can dig into further if you want. But yeah, there's some cool stuff going on. So I think the last thing I did story wise, I just did the Anti Tower, which is like the dungeon that Matoya gives you. That's this dungeon like full of frogs and stuff. These like frog magicians. It's a really cool dungeon. So, and there's a big plot development right after that, which is super interesting. But that's all I've been doing, George. Nothing really else on my end.
Can I ask? I'm sure we talked about this before, but it's been, like you said, 3 weeks of you just being obsessed with Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Why Final Fantasy 14 over 16?
I don't know, George, to be honest with you. I think playing 16 just there's so much in 16 that is pulled from 14. There's a lot of stuff that, especially those boss fights, man, a lot of the moves and straight up like the attacks that those bosses have are literally ripped from the trials in 14, the primals in 14. And just there were more and more little things in the game that kept making me think like, man, I really want to go back to 14 right now. And so I want to go back to 16 at some point. I hate that I jumped away from it like mid game. I think I'm like 60% through because I was loving it. But I don't know. I mentioned this on a podcast before. Maybe I have ADD or something because I feel like constantly I'm like jumping between games and I never finish them. So I don't know. Maybe that's just the adult way. I'm not sure.
Seth, what about you? What have you been up to since we last spoke?
Not a whole lot. I've been playing like Austin Final Fantasy 14 when I can. Not playing it as much as I would like to though. My schedule's been really getting in my way. Like I took off all last week, like I said, and I feel like I barely got to play anything. I've just been busy. There's always something going on, whether it's like appointments or work or like anything. So that's annoying, but yeah, getting back in the groove of Final Fantasy 14. Almost done with Endwalker. I have maybe 20 more missions to go before I'm done with the base game, and it's getting really crazy.
Sorry, time out. You said you're almost done with Endwalker, and then you followed up by saying you got 20 more missions to go. So how long are these missions?
In the grand scheme of things, George, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, how much hours time is that?
I don't know. Some of the missions are only like a couple minutes long because they're like, oh, go to this guy and talk to this guy, and most of the main story stuff is like pretty dialogue heavy, like, and then go kill something and come back and get more story type of thing. So it's not a whole lot of time for that. I can probably beat it these next 2 days if I really wanted to and really buckled down, but yeah, I haven't been doing a whole lot else other than that. Just taking care of my new dog. I fixed some projects on the house that I've been wanting to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty easy
Sweet.
time.
Cool. All right. Well, you guys want to jump into our main topic then, or do you want to any parting words about our weeks?
Nothing really.
You should get in Final Fantasy 14, George. That's my parting word.
Dude, this is going to be the Final Fantasy 14 podcast if Seth or I host it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds fucking tight. I'm a bad host. I didn't pull up like a specific news article to cite stuff, but basically, Red Dead Redemption is coming to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, and it's not an HD remake. It is literally just a straight up port. It is the game without any touch-ups, no frame rate fixes, no upgraded textures, no online support, nothing like that. It is just the bare bones, like I said, it's a port of the game coming to modern consoles. Of course, this is not coming to Xbox One because you don't need it on Xbox One because Red Dead Redemption is backwards compatible on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Series S, everything in the modern Xbox ecosystem. And even they get upgraded textures. They get upgraded frame rates. So I compiled a list of a whole bunch of games and I want to know what you guys would be willing to pay for, because the most ridiculous thing about Red Dead Redemption is it is actually coming out $10 cheaper than the original, but it is coming out at $49.99 for modern consoles, and you could get the game, I think, for 30 on Xbox and get a better experience. You're buying the 360 copy, which is then upgraded via software. And we all laughed about this because we were like, man, $50 for this game, that's fucking preposterous. But
Mhm.
I want
It's
to know how
ridiculous.
much you guys are willing to spend on some other games. Now, I went back, I rated the PS3 and the GameCube, were the two systems I focused on heavily, just because original Xbox games, the big ones that you want, are playable on Series X. A lot of the PlayStation 2 games, not all of them, obviously, playable on modern consoles. And it's tough because a lot of these games have been remastered. I was like, oh yeah, I love the shit out of Arkham Asylum. Oh wait, that game's been remastered. Oh yeah, Bioshock Infinite. I love that. Oh wait, that one's been remastered too. So a whole bunch of like the big heavy hitters are already off the table because they're already available, and they're usually pretty cheap. So I did my best to find um, games that haven't been ported yet, haven't been HD remastered yet, and let's just go through. I'm going to set a range. You can pay at most $50, and at a minimum, what do you think, $10? Is that fair?
Yeah.
$14, $15?
Yeah, I think
All right.
I'd say 10.
All right. First one on the docket. Let's do two. Little Big Planet 1, Little Big Planet 2. Seth, how much are you willing to pay for Little Big Planet 1, Little Big Planet 2?
As like a dual pack?
No, individually.
Oof.
Oh, individually, $10 each. I was never a big fan of those games.
Okay, awesome.
Jeez. Hold on. Cat just knocked over a chair next to me. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe $20 each.
I think that's the right answer.
Yeah.
Just because those games are huge, but also like I'm assuming that there wouldn't be any online functionality whatsoever, and that is a majority of the game.
Yeah.
Was all the UGC shit that would come along with it. Killzones 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna go ahead because this was remastered as the Killzone collection. I'm gonna count that as all one package. How much did you pay for the Killzone collection on PlayStation 4 right now?
I would
$30.
Ooh. I would say. So you're saying 1, 2, and 3 all in one pack?
Yep.
I'd say 40.
I was gonna say 42. Seth, what did you say? Sorry.
What? This is 30. We're talking about straight ports, right?
Yeah.
Killzone 2 and 3 are like very cheap games.
That's true.
There should
That
be.
is true.
I don't know what Killzone 1 goes for. Probably nothing.
That one, no, that one's a little bit more expensive because at least that disc anyway on the PlayStation 3 is like the money part of that secondhand collection.
Yeah, because I know Killzone 2 was like in the dollar bin at GameStop for the
Yeah.
longest time. I don't remember where Killzone 3 ended up, but
Man,
um,
Killzone 2 though, like I can't remember the last time I did this, but I downloaded the demo for Killzone 2 on my PlayStation 3, played 5 minutes of it, and then immediately deleted it. And I was like, I need
Really?
to go downtown right now to GameStop and buy this game.
oh,
You could see like the textures on like the gun handle, and I was like, holy shit, you guys, this game's got handle rubber gun
Yeah.
textures.
That game was super
and then
pretty.
Shadowfall killed the whole franchise.
Dude, I freaking hate that game.
That was nice.
I don't think it's that bad. I got stuck on like the second to last level though. That shit was really hard.
Well, that's why you don't know it's that bad, because the ending was the worst ending I've ever seen in a video game.
Oh, okay.
It was awful. Yeah, I don't know. I think 40 is somewhat reasonable for 3 games, but I'll say this, like those games really would need a remaster because they're so I at least from what I remember, Killzone 2 runs kind of rough now looking back at it.
Sure does, yeah. Also, are we sure that Horizon is a good enough game for them to not be making Killzone games?
No,
No.
I thought Forbidden West was like pretty lame, at least of my time.
That's how I felt about the first one, to be honest. Austin, you talked about this game last week, Portal 2.
Ooh. This is actually a good question because they just ported Portal 1 and 2 to the Switch not too long ago. This was like I guess it's almost been a year. And I bought that.
I don't think Portal 1, I don't think that's ever going to come to PlayStation.
No. So the Switch ports, which didn't really add anything from what I'm remembering correctly. I think they were pretty much the same as the PC. They were, I think it was $20 total for both of them, which I would say is totally what I would pay if it was on any other system. If we're talking about Portal 1 and 2 together. Now, did you just say Portal 2 exclusively?
I said Portal 2 exclusively, but I think we should include Portal 1.
Yeah.
I just don't think that game's ever coming to PlayStation.
Here's the problem with those games. Both of them are still so cheap on Steam. Like, if you want to buy them on PC, they're constantly going on sale for like $1. So, frankly, the Switch pricing of $20 is great, in my opinion. Now, if you're talking about individually, I'd say at most maybe 10 to 15 each, potentially. I'd say maybe 10 for the first one, 15 for the second one.
Okay. Seth, do you care at all?
I never played them. Because I'm not that kind of person. I don't do those games.
What does that mean?
They hurt my brain.
Dude, they're so good. They're so good.
I'm sure
Portal
they
2 in
are.
particular is fantastic.
I'm sure they are. I remember like it was a big deal. Like the cake is a lie. It was a big meme for a long time and whatever. But the Half-Life Portal universe thing, it never spoke to me. I tried playing Half-Life Black or something like that on Steam a little while back, and I'm just like, oh, this feels like 2001. It really does.
I think it was it Blue Shift or Black Mesa?
Black Mesa. That's what it was. Yeah. Just not into it. Not my thing. So I would pay $0 for Portal 1 and 2.
Well, you basically can already do that on Steam, essentially.
Yeah.
So
here's one I would pay the full 50 for is Oblivion.
Oh, dude, that game has aged so poorly, though.
I know. It's so bad. It was great for its time, man, but you're not going to remaster. You're not like up-res it or anything. It's just a straight port of that poopy looking duber of a game.
Good vocabulary.
I would pay that.
I
would pay that on. I'd be more inclined to pay for that for like a Switch port than a PlayStation port. But
you got me for $20.
The purpose of this exercise is twofold. One, I want to know what you guys value games at. I want to know what you think a game is worth, especially like so many years removed from when it came out. The second thing I want to do is highlight how fucking preposterous it is that none of these games are available on PlayStation 4.
That's fair.
And that a majority of them are not on Switch. And it's one of those things where it's like, what's the point? Like, I understand at the time, like, making a game just for the moment, but, like, we don't have to live in that world anymore. In fact, we don't live in that world anymore. You don't have to make something for just one moment. You can make something for eternity. So why wouldn't you? Why the fuck isn't Oblivion playable on PlayStation? Why isn't it playable on Switch?
I actually didn't know it wasn't available on PlayStation 4. It was available on PlayStation 3 for sure. I find it was, very odd.
But it never got that much support, and it never even got trophies.
Yeah, that's weird because Oblivion was huge when it came out, but I guess Skyrim just kind of stole its thunder and just kind of took its spot. And Skyrim's available on like your TI-84, so you can pretty much play Skyrim anywhere. But yeah, I'd pay a solid $20 for Oblivion just to go through the story again. But I did like 2 years ago spend an entire weekend modding Oblivion to look like a modern game. And it looked beautiful, but that game has in gameplay has aged extremely poorly.
How taxing was that on your PC?
Very. It was extremely taxing because the game's not meant to run like that. So there's like when you're not running any like compression or anything with these games when you mod them in that way. So I was able to like keep it like solid like 45 frames, and then turn some stuff down, and it became more of a game of modding the game than it was actually playing Oblivion. But then once I would play it, I'm like, I don't know about this, man. It's just not like for instance, the gates, the Oblivion gates, when you go to the plane of Oblivion and you'd have to climb the tower and like shut them. That is a very arduous process because those mini levels in the gates of Oblivion have no direction, and
Yeah.
it's essentially a giant puzzle to figure out how to get to the top of these towers, and everything looks the same because of the way it's like drawn. I don't know, drawn, created,
Art
the way it
directed, yeah.
looks. Yeah. So it's I don't know. I just Oblivion was a standout game for its time. I think it has the best story in all the Elder Scrolls games, but I just don't think it aged very well, and I think it needs a second hand
Oh,
from Bethesda.
all I want is Oblivion with like the Skyrim engine. Like, just
Mhm.
why haven't they remade that game?
Yeah, that'd be a lot better.
It's like I've tried to replay it over the years, and it's seriously just like the inventory and the item management that like kills me. Every menu navigation thing is like what slows me down. That's what I think makes the game feel old. It's not the faces, it's not the animations or whatever. Like, I can forgive that. It is literally just how you interact with everything that kills me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard to go back to.
It's really hard. There's like that project, that fan project. It's like, what's it called? Skyblivion, right? Where it is ostensibly trying to remake, and it's just like, oh, cool. I've been hearing about that for 10 years. I'm sure any day now it's
Yeah,
actually going to happen.
yeah.
Uh, Far Cry 2. I picked that one because Far Cry 3 has been remastered and brought to modern consoles, so that one was out. Far Cry 2 was like the huge game that was overly ambitious, was ridiculous to play, and like had gun jamming
Hmm.
if you didn't like clean your weapons, and I think you could get cholera or malaria.
I think it was malaria. I remember playing the demo for that and being like, "Oh, this is too much for me."
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played Far Cry 2, so I don't have any comment.
Okay. Moving on then. Eco.
Oh, $10.
Yeah, I I think Eco's massively overrated. I
I
think all
agree.
those games are, to be honest with you.
I like Shadow of the
Hot take, I
Colossus a
know.
lot.
Yeah, did you play the remaster of that, Seth?
Mm-mm,
Like the Blue Point Shadow of the Colossus?
I have not. No.
It's super pretty.
Pretty good, yeah. Any Ratchet and Clank game from the PS3 era?
Oh wait, because they vary in quality quite wildly.
Well, I don't know which ones are good. Like, there's a Crack in Time. That one's supposed to be good. A Future Perfect, Future Imperfect. That one was supposed to be good.
See, I don't. I'd probably pay. God, there's what 6 games on the PS3. I think maybe.
Like 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, you probably get me at like 50 or $60 for a whole collection of them.
I'd agree.
I
Okay.
I wouldn't put a big value on each one of them individually.
All right. This is the one I think Austin cares about the most. Resistance 1, 2, and 3. Not as a collection, because I think that collection would obviously be
Do
a
I
full
care
price,
about
if not
them the
more,
most?
but
I think I do.
thought
I was
you
gonna
did.
say I thought it was
Oh,
Seth.
really? I thought
Yeah.
Austin was the
No.
Resistance head. Okay.
No, I've never played them. I have them, but I've never
I
played
think
them.
those games are so good, and so unique and fun.
The crazy thing that we never talk about, that I can't believe the internet has just seemed to collectively forgot. The multiplayer for Resistance 2 had 60-player functionality.
Yeah, that was when they're
Really?
going for size.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
like
It was
way ahead of their
amazing.
time. Yeah.
That was like the
which-
Mag
like that. I
era.
mean, obviously, I was about to say, obviously not as ambitious as Mag, but like, man,
So-
remember when people used to just like take swings? That was cool.
Yeah.
Here's the
that was a fun
thing.
era.
Here's the thing with this. I tried a little bit of Resistance 1. I bought like 1, 2, and 3 randomly a couple of years ago with the intention of playing them, and I still haven't gotten to it. But I have them for PS3 back on the shelf behind me. I played like 15 minutes of 1. Dude, that game is rough.
That's
It does
a
not hold up
PS2 game.
at all. Yeah,
That's
so
the prettiest PlayStation 2 game that's ever existed.
I feel like
it's
30 to 40 at most for the whole collection for that reason.
Resistance 1, in my opinion, is very similar to Halo 1. Whereas like a lot of the modern first person shooter concepts aren't there, and that Resistance 1 would do really well if it was ported to modern day and you could change the control scheme, or they changed it for you, or if it went to PC and you could change it yourself. But yeah, Resistance 1 is a very old game. Story in the world though of Resistance is so good. You probably get me $25 for each one of those. And then because I would be willing to support Resistance as a franchise in order to send a message that, hey, we want more of these.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never played Resistance 3. I never got around to it.
Oh man, that was the one that was more like a horror game, right? Because you're moving your way across the country to get back to New York to
I don't know.
to blow up like the portal or whatever. It's good. You play as a firefighter, this Italian dude, Joseph something. It was a good game.
Yeah, I
Multiplayer was
can't.
weird though. 'Cause that was back in the era of like 8v8.
I can't believe those games are stranded, man. It's so weird that Sony has just decided to leave Resistance behind and like strand it. And I don't understand why, because the games are phenomenal. So, and people want them. They like it's very clear people like Resistance. Resistance 3 was a huge launch. I know because I worked at GameStop. It was a terrible day.
I'm curious which one of you is going to get more excited for this game. 3D Dot Game Heroes.
Dude,
Not me.
I never played that game.
Me either.
But I'd say it always looked fun. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this was From Software, right?
It was an Atlas. Atlas published, I believe,
published,
and
okay.
I want to say From was somehow involved with it though.
It was like a 2D Zelda, like an overhead Zelda game, and the entire game was like voxels, like you were just playing 3D dots,
Yeah.
whatever. But it was just like this crazy reinterpretation of like the Zelda structure. Game was super fun. Game was great.
I haven't played it, so I really don't know the quality and like how much I'd love it. I'd probably slap like $20 on that.
Yeah. This is a sad statement just because it's the nature of fighting games, but Street Fighter 4 or Super Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 4 Ultra. Just because, like, I don't know, I feel like 2 is like the safest game ever, right? Like, Street Fighter 2 is going to be available on every console. Super Street Fighter 2 is going to, or Street Fighter 2 Turbo, whichever version that people give this shit about the most. I feel like that's going to appear on every console, but like, I don't know, man. I don't think a lot of the other Street Fighter games are going to get the same love, you know? Is Street Fighter 4 ever going to appear on PlayStation 5? I doubt it.
No, because after Street Fighter 4, they really stopped, in my opinion, as like a former Street Fighter guy, they really stopped innovating on the games. Like they added like small changes and like mechanics to Street Fighter 5 and 6. But they pretty much look and play the exact same after 4. Like you really didn't need Street Fighter 5 and 6. Maybe you could skip 5 and then go to 6, you know, but I don't think so, man. And Street Fighter 4, I forget what the final one was called, like Ultimate or something. That suffered from what we were talking about like a little while back with the Smash Brothers thing, where they added as many characters as they could to that final Street Fighter thing, and then in 5 they were all gone, and then like a lot of them still haven't come back. So I don't know. I think Street Fighter 4 is fine to not bring back. I probably wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah, I don't really know for this one because I'm not really like a fighting game person. I mean, I think 20 to 30 at most.
I think 20 at most, just because it feels very much like, oh hey, don't you want to buy Madden 2007? That's like when the Pats were really good. It's like, no, that's okay. I'll stick to modern shitty Pats on modern shitty Madden. I feel like this has become less of an exercise about like rating games and also just pointing out like, man, it's so stupid that these games are stuck.
Yeah.
Like it's
I would agree.
Infamous 1 and 2.
Oh my god.
I was waiting for this.
$40 each, buddy. Maybe 50.
60 each. Let's go.
60 each?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'd say 40 each is reasonable for those. but I love those games.
I'd say
So.
I'd,
They're so good.
I get it. 30 each tops.
I mean, let me say this.
I like those games. But
I'd pay $60 for like a full collection of both of them. I think that would be reasonable in my eyes. Although, again, going back to Resistance 1 here, Infamous 1 doesn't hold up super great.
Little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Really?
wild to me that they released Infamous Second Son. That was the one on PlayStation 4. That like they released it without Infamous 1 and 2 being playable on PlayStation 4. And like I get it because it came out early enough in the PlayStation 4 life cycle that PlayStation 3 was still like something that was pretty readily available. But it's wild to me that you just can't play it. You just can't play 1 and 2. And like I understand it's on PlayStation now. I that's great. It's not the same. Also, like, why wouldn't you charge people? Like, not everyone's willing to give you money for, immediate access to streaming PlayStation 3 games. But I think a lot of people would be willing to give you money for Infamous 1, Infamous 2, Killzone 1, 2, 3, like all that shit.
Dude, Infamous is so cool.
So
Yeah,
I was trying to look up just out of curiosity to see how much those games sold, because I don't really remember like how successful they were from like a financial standpoint.
Mhm.
And this was from June 2010. Game Informer at that time. I mean, I'm sure the game went on to sell a little more. Infamous 1 sold about 2 million copies, which is less than I would have thought, but it's still a good number.
I think that was a big deal for like in the early PS3 era, though. I think
it was. Especially, I mean, that was back when PS3 was not exactly selling like hotcakes. So
right.
I was trying to find Infamous 2 sales numbers, but it's surprising to me, honestly, that those games have not been ported or remastered in any way.
It's crazy.
Would you guys rather have a new Ghost of Tsushima game or a new Infamous game?
Infamous.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
You can shove Ghost of Tsushima right up your ass.
I like that game so much. I just might, Seth.
Dude, Ghost of Tsushima is very good, though.
It is. It's a phenomenal game. Not as cool as Infamous. Infamous is cool, man. And Second Son sucks. I don't want your smoke.
Isn't that kind of contradictory? Infamous is cool. The third one sucks.
I don't count the Second Son as like a real Infamous game. I don't want your smoke powers. Get your smoke powers away. All the light powers that girl had were pretty cool. But the smoke powers, no, get them out.
First Light, I enjoyed.
Desmond?
The smoke powers were cool. You could jump through vents and get to the top of a building immediately. That was cool.
Oh, so cool. No, it's not. Stupid.
Eat my entire ass, Seth. Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
I haven't played that game.
Good game. $30.
Yeah, I was
underrated.
$30.
Not many people played it. Very good.
Second party game, probably impossible to make now because I'm pretty sure this developer was swallowed up by Microsoft. But Heavenly Sword.
20.
Played it.
Really good action game with fun QTEs. This is Team Ninja, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a launch title, I think, wasn't it?
If it wasn't, it was close.
Window. Yeah, like I think within a year of the console coming out.
I think I own it.
Game was rad. The game was super fun.
I'd say like 20 to 30 would be reasonable.
Yeah, I do own it.
Let's see, Folklore.
Never played it.
$15.
Okay. Yeah, that's like a really obscure Japanese. Like, it got super high reviews, but I just don't think it sold for shit at all. Puppeteer, another
dude
didn't sell very well.
I forgot about that game.
Really interesting game that I would
it.
fucking love for it to come out. A lot of these games are first party games, and or second party games, but like they're games that like Sony paid for, like Sony produced. So it's like why aren't these available?
I'd say like 30.
Why aren't you doing the Nintendo thing? Why aren't you doing the Nintendo thing? Just price gouging us all the time.
Yeah. I'd say 30 for that would be reasonable because that game is really unique and it does hold up pretty well still, graphically and mechanically.
Like they remade Medieval from the ground up for PlayStation 4, but you can't just do a straight up port. A puppeteer? What's that about?
Dude, I forgot about that medieval remake.
Yeah, I should really play it sometime. I think actually this spooky season, I'm gonna jump into it. I think
There you go.
and start playing more spooky games and watch more spooky movies. I'm trying to be more spooky to myself.
You know, I can't. I can't do horror games. They're too scary.
I hear you. Yeah.
I really tried in like the early 2010s to get into Resident Evil. I mean, like I really tried. I was like convinced I loved Resident Evil 5. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Resident Evil guy now. And then I like played Resident Evil 4, and I'm like, this game sucks. Which is like a hot take, I know, but I don't like the ability there, or like the fact that you can't aim and move at the same time. It doesn't even make sense. And when you look at like why they did it back then, like, oh, it adds more. It's scarier.
Tension.
Seth,
Yeah,
you
adds more
couldn't do
tension.
that in Resident Evil 5.
I know, but it annoyed me especially in Resident Evil 4. I don't know why. But I've always wanted to be like a Resident Evil guy, but I'm just like, these games are annoying and too spooky. And so Silent Hill was really the one that scared me. But I tried to play Resident Evil 7 when it came out, and I remember in the very beginning of the game, with the first like enemy you see, I picked up the gun and I popped her in the head like 4 times, and she didn't die. And I'm like, all right, I'm done.
That's why I stopped playing Resident Evil games. Like that's the annoying part to me.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the
speaking of
like
annoying,
run
it's
and hide, or like you can't fight the enemies. Like I tried Alien Isolation, I couldn't stand that game. I like horror games where you're actually able to resist in some way.
Yeah.
to do something about it.
Yeah.
Like this zombie lady's coming at me. Why can't I Spartan kick her in the chest? You know, that's what I want to do. I want to Spartan kick her in the chest, and then I want to double tap her in the head. The double tap, like in Zombieland. You know,
Yeah.
The hit movie.
great movie.
Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw. Those are both Grasshopper games, right?
Shadows of the Damned
Ooh.
is sweet, dude. $25. Lollipop Chainsaw, stupid. $10.
I'd say
I mean, he's said it with a lot of confidence. Yeah.
I never played Shadows of the Damned, but just because of Grasshopper, I mean, I'm not saying their quality's bad, but they're a little rough around the edges. I'd say 15 each.
Lollipop Chainsaw is getting a remaster though, right? Or a remake.
I think it's a remake,
Interested to see how that goes, because
dude.
I feel like that is one of the games that you do not need to remake because it is dumb. Bad.
I'm excited to buy it and not play it for 5 years before I actually get around to it.
It's
Did you
actually
play the original one?
Just what I did with the original game. Yeah.
I actually don't find it too terrible. I don't think it's bad. Like I remember we played it, or I played it rather at one point on the old podcast because we did like a thing for a while where we like had each other play games, and Elijah had me play Lollipop Chainsaw, and it's fine. I don't think it's bad. I mean, it's pretty interesting. James Gunn like wrote it, which is neat. So
Man, Elijah and I tried to do that for this podcast, and I think the first game we did was Aliens Colonial Marines,
dude,
and that was rough. And then
That's
the
a bad
second
start.
game we did was Naughty Bear, and then like Naughty Bear was the one that broke me.
what was next? George Lair? Was that after Naughty Bear?
I think so. I think it was just like we were looking for an excuse to turn on our PlayStation 3s.
Duke
And like the
Nukem
only games we
forever.
hadn't played were just like the dog shit games that no one in their right mind should want to play.
Yeah.
2 more PlayStation games and then only a couple games from the GameCube generation. Mod Nation Racers.
Never played it.
I'm gonna say this one comes with online functionality.
Okay. Comes with online functionality. I'd say 30.
I'd say 32.
Great game.
I think this again, man. The ambition of the PlayStation 3 is astounding. And if you combine this, it sucks that like the PlayStation 4 is more successful when the games were less ambitious. Like they were way more predictable on PlayStation 4. Oh my god. If what could have been if these games came to PlayStation 4?
Dude, my favorite thing about Mod Nation Racers is when they took that game, literally just repainted it and sold it as Little Big Planet karting. like literally just the same game. Like not like the menus were the same, everything worked exactly the same, the physics were exactly the same. They just called it Little Big Planet karting, sold it for $60.
Unbelievable. I remember that was like, I think that was like, because I didn't really care about gaming that much. Like I would go to Walmart and like pick shit up. But then like sophomore year of college, that was when I like got obsessed and was like reading IGN every day. Was reading like VG 247, you know, like all these websites. I was checking out like all these YouTube channels. And I was still like blindsided by that game coming out. I was like, I hadn't heard of Little Big Planet karting. Like this game just came out of nowhere. And then I saw the review. I'm like, oh, that's why they didn't advertise for it, because this game looks like trash. Last game from this era, Dante's Inferno.
$30.
Yeah, I'd go with 30 for sure.
That's a good game,
And
dude.
it does hold up pretty well. I actually just tried it not too long ago, maybe about a year ago on PS3, and it still runs pretty well.
That's a classic God of War game.
Great story too.
All right. Moving on to GameCube games. Doing this because Pikmin 1 and 2 came out in a collection, I believe, for $50. So 25 each.
I think that's right.
Maybe 40.
Yeah.
And then we got the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is ridiculous. So it's like, oh, so GameCube games are worth 20. It's like, no, the N64 games are worth 20. And then GameCube games and Wii games, like there's no way to like gauge what Nintendo values their own games at if we're doing it that way. So I only have a couple here. Wind Waker. How much would you pay for a port of Wind Waker on Switch?
Oh, of the original, not of the
I'd
HD.
say the Wii U version. I'll say the Wii U version.
Okay, that changes things.
$6.
I'm gonna go $7. No, I'm
like
just.
I think that's got to be like a full 60. If I would pay 50 for the GameCube version, but if we're doing the Wii U version, that would be a full 60.
If it's the Wii U version, I would frankly pay 60 again. But that's because that game really was well made, and it's never actually dropped in price. It's always held at 60 even on the Wii U. So it wouldn't be totally out of the line. I'd probably feel otherwise if the Wii U version had dropped to like 10 and they resold it for 60, like Skyward Sword, where that game is super cheap now and they sold it again for 60. But yeah, I'd say I'd be willing to pay 60 for that.
F-Zero GX.
I've never played it.
That game was 120 frames per second, I believe, on GameCube.
Wow.
It was. I'd say 30.
I'd say that I think you're insane. I think that game would come out today and be amazing still. I'm gonna say 50 or 60 for them.
Yeah, it does hold up well too.
Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
$30.
I'd say 40 on that one.
They're pretty good.
I would
They're
say
little,
50.
I never beat a Paper Mario game, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Let's see. I got Skies of Arcadia and SSX Tricky, and then I got one last final game.
I never played either of those.
Like the original SSX Tricky, like on PS2. $25.
Yeah, I'd say 20 for that one. Skies of Arcadia, maybe 30.
Skies of Arcadia, 50.
Okay.
Skies of Arcadia is a
final
good
game.
meaty RPG.
Final game, no sequels, just the original Final Fantasy 13.
$30.
Just the original. Did you say 30?
Yeah, I said 30.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Here's why. Because Final Fantasy 13, for some reason, has not aged a fucking day.
It's still pretty.
That game is unbelievably pretty. I don't understand why it didn't make a bigger splash just based on the artwork back in the day. Because it got a lot of crap, Final Fantasy 13, and it deserved it. You know, the story was pretty annoying. The characters were super annoying. But the gameplay is super fun. And the game is gorgeous, man. Even by today's standards, all those games are gorgeous. Lightning Return, surprisingly, is the least pretty game, but it is my favorite in the series. 13-2 might be my favorite in the series. 13 is
Well, it's
not
wild.
a very good game.
I mean, didn't they like sell the likeness to Lightning? And like, wasn't she like basically like a idol in Japan? Like, wasn't she like a
I don't
perfume
know.
spokesperson?
Yeah,
I'm
No,
like pretty
you're
sure
oh,
I
correct.
read
yeah.
You're
articles
correct.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did like Prada or something like that. Like, people, the Japanese audience, from what I understand, loved Lightning. Um, but I thought that like Snow and Vanille and Hope, they were all super annoying characters. Thankfully, in 13.2, they didn't really make much of an appearance at all, and you just had Sarah and forget the guy's name.
Snow was the blonde dude, right?
Yeah, and he was so dumb. He was so dumb.
That was the guy. Who's the voice actor who does everyone? The
Troy
Joel.
Baker.
Yeah, that was him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep, and he was engaged
Alright,
to
guys.
Lightning's sister.
Oh, what did we learn? We learned a couple things. We learned that it's amazing how many of these games that were so critical to PlayStation are just nowhere to be found. It's like PlayStation just burned the photos out of the photo album. They're like, no, we don't want to acknowledge anything about these. There's a whole bunch of games I didn't even ask about, right? Like Starhawk, Warhawk. Like
That was
those
the first
games
thing
were
that came to my
huge
mind,
for
Starhawk.
PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
The racing game that Drive Club Studio made before they got shut down.
Drive Club.
MotorStorm.
Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah, I'd love
Right,
a
like, there's
MotorStorm port.
Like there's all these games that were like just so critical and they just don't get the love. And I think it is because like this is oddly enough like the lost generation of games where it was the first time like the internet was a critical part of it, and then internet was just, it had a new thing where it was like there's just no record of it. Like there's a website that existed for 2 months and then all of a sudden it just disappeared and you just couldn't access it anymore. And I feel like they took
Right.
the wrong lessons to heart about the internet with this console. But man, we'd be willing to pay money for these games. We love these games. We think these games deserve to see the light of day. That's all I got, guys.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on this little exercise we did?
Dude, there's so many more games too that I wish like could release on modern systems, even if they were just ports. I mean, I was talking earlier about the Sonic Symphony. Obviously, I've always been a huge Sonic fan. I mean, I'm a little surprised at this point that they haven't ported Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 to modern systems. I know those games kind of hold up somewhat rough, but I mean, they put them on PS3. They have an HD version of both of them on PS3 and never put them on PS4 or PS5.
Shit, man, they had Turtles in Time and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on PS3.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty Classic, the original one, Medal of Honor. Yeah.
Did either of you play Sonic Frontier?
Yes. It's really good.
Was it good?
Mhm.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is the story good in it? Like a Sonic Adventure story?
I wouldn't say it's like a Sonic Adventure story, but it's different enough. Like it's pretty unique. It's mildly interesting. I mean, it's still intended for like a family audience, but I like it.
Okay.
It's not my favorite Sonic game. It's a little longer than I would have liked, but it's good.
It's like an open
IGN
world, right?
Yeah. IGN killed that game. IGN absolutely tanked that game.
They totally did, because the actual game is drastically better than what that footage looked like when we all saw it like months before it released.
And I'm not surprised. I don't think I've seen a single IGN first game since.
Yeah.
Every other publisher was like, nope, that's not happening to our game. That was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. But, oh, you guys, last week I think it was, I was telling you how big the Steam Deck was and how it's hardly portable, and you wanted to see it. It's right here. This is the Steam Deck. It's massive. This is like right next to my head. Super thick.
Nice.
So
I saw GameStop and Valve just started selling refurbished Steam Decks that are like quite a bit cheaper. I think they're like 20%, 25% cheaper than new ones.
yeah.
Which is
I don't
interesting.
know. I love my Steam Deck enough that I think it's worth the $500, but that's up to you. But they are huge. I would not call them portable consoles. They're like somewhat portable consoles.
Yeah, that's portable. I can take it from my bedroom to my couch.
If
Yeah.
you consider a briefcase portable.
Yeah, essentially, like yeah.
So
I
can
mean,
you do me a favor on your Steam Deck?
what?
Can you go fuck yourself? No, I'm just kidding. Can you get Star Wars Rogue Squadron, like the original like N64 one, and let me know how it runs, and I'll actually just Venmo you for that game?
I don't need you to do that because it's already in my Steam library, I think.
Oh, well, can you check it out and let me know how it runs, please?
Yeah, I'll do that. I will let you know how that runs, George.
Seth, which
I'll tell you what,
Thanks, man.
which size like memory did you buy?
I bought the
No.
most expensive one.
Okay. Can you expand the memory? Like, is there an SD card slot? Okay. Nice.
Yep.
So hypothetically, you could
Um,
just buy the cheapest one and then buy like a terabyte SD card.
Yeah,
you
the only
wanted to.
the only thing that the more expensive one like realistically gets you is the expanded memory, a nicer case, and glare proof screen, which isn't actually glare proof.
Oh.
It's just
You
it's
had
a
me there
little
for a
nicer.
second. For a half second, you had
Yeah.
me.
It's a little nicer.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably wait till they make like a Gen 2, to be honest with you. Because it's already
I am there.
it's already been what, a couple years since it came out?
I think,
Or was it
like,
last year?
I think a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, we'll see.
I'm amazed that it's like this successful because, like, do you guys remember when they were like making like not Steam Decks but like Steam
Like consoles.
approved PCs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stupid. What
They
terrible move
flopped.
that was.
Totally flopped.
Yeah.
I was really into it because it's like I want to play PC games. I'm just terrified of like building a PC. You know, like
Yeah.
like the idea of like the actual construction. Like I don't know what the I don't know how much RAM I need. I don't know. Oh, do I need a good GPU? I've heard GPUs aren't important anymore now that CPUs have advanced. So like I didn't know what any of that shit was. So like it was really intriguing, and then it just like cratered me like almost as fast as the NFT market did. Like the Steam approved shit explode. And like the only thing that seemed to survive was like the haptic, the haptic analog stick controller that they made, right? Where like you didn't actually have an analog stick, you just had like
Dude.
these pads that you'd rub your thumbs along. Remember that?
I forgot about that. Holy crap. It was like just two trackpads on a controller.
Yeah.
There was no analog stick. It was just two circular trackpads where analog sticks would be. Did anybody here ever buy that thing?
No.
No.
I'm curious
But-
how it
No, but I
was.
But
Might go on eBay. Check it out.
listen, here's what I'll tell you though. The Steam Deck has those on it and they work really well. Here, let me show you. Steam Deck not only has analog sticks, but it has those two pads. Right there under the analog stick. And they work extremely well.
So I guess you use it for like mouse movement and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they click as well. So you
Interesting.
move
Have you
your
ever played
mouse
like
and click.
have you ever played a first person shooter and used that instead of the analog sticks?
No. I mean,
No.
I'm just so I have muscle memory so much to analog sticks now that like the only time I actually use those touchpads is to type, really.
Yeah.
Or in Final Fantasy 14, like if I want to use the mouse to like select something, I can do that. But really, you don't need it much in 14.
Well, my dudes, that's pretty much all I got. Any closing thoughts for the day before we sign off?
Not for
No.
me, George. Not for me. Let's play Final Fantasy 14.
Let's do it, George.
I'm around this weekend. Like I said, I will buy some goldfish. I will buy some Mountain's Dew, and I'm excited to get to it, boys.
I checked my
Absolutely.
play clock the other day. It said I had like 19 days or something in the game, which is pretty good for someone who is only on the second expansion.
All of that was
Yeah,
used to
even-
try and figure out how Black Mage works.
Yes, correct. Dude, I watched a rotation video 2 days ago and it totally changed everything. I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm doing this right. No, I totally was not at all. Was not at all.
I mean, that's one way to look at it. Another way is you haven't even played 1 February yet of this game. So
That's true.
how could you possibly be expected to know anything?
That's true.
That's fair.
10,000 hours and you're a master, so I've got to reach that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost there. You can find us on socials at frameskippod. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're probably going to be on Blue Sky soon. Probably going to be on Threads. I don't know. I don't run that stuff. Austin doesn't know. He kind of runs that stuff.
We're on
Not really.
Mastodon. We're on Hive. We're on Tumblr. No, I'm just kidding. We're not on any of this.
We're not on any of those things. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Instagram. Email us at frameskippod@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. Let us know if you like topics like this. Let us know anything you'd like us to discuss in the future. Leave comments on our YouTube channel because this is on YouTube too, right?
It is.
Sick. You can reach Austin at Austin J. Eller at Twitter, but don't do that. Just reach out to the podcast. I regret saying your personal handle. I'm not even going to say mine. I'm not going to say Seth's. Reach out to Frameskip Pod. Talk to us about this. This would be fun. Let's play games together. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back in your ears again next week.
Goodbye, ear holes. Till next time.
Bye.